Hey guys, Marsling here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so we are up to the final guide for the new 10 stages of Super Battle Road that are coming out on JP, and this is going to be the all-out struggle one. So this is another one that is going to be kind of wonky for some people because the main leader is the summonable LR, Dokkan Fest LR, the Goku and Vegeta. So if you don't have them, there is a way you can kind of work around it, but it definitely depends how lucky you got during the 6-year anniversary. So we're going to jump in, and of course, as always, we're going to go over my top picks and my honourable mentions. As always, if there's any units you think I missed out or that we should have talked about in more detail, let me know down below in the comments and we can always discuss those further. So smash the like button if you find the guide helpful, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let us go ahead and jump right in. So of course, the leader is the Dokkan Fest LR, Goku and Vegeta. Very, very powerful unit. I used them in the Realm of Gods ESBR no item run because they greatly raise defense on super attack, which is very, very strong, of course. And then the more rainbow orbs you pick up, they have the potential to do up to 3 additional normal attacks. And even at 55%, they obviously have 3 level 5 additional. The more of those additional normal attacks you do, the more likely you are to proc their additional from the hidden potential system. So if you can additional super attack with them, then obviously they greatly raise their defense again. So they're going to be pretty much untouchable if they double super outside of like super attacks or potentially type disadvantage. So they do very solid damage, their defense can be good, they lower attack on both of their super attacks, which is very, very good for Super Battle Road. And then of course they do have an active skill. It can be activated when HP is 50% or less, so there's no turn restriction. The only thing you have to be careful about is where you're going to place them on the rotation on the turn where you use their active skill, because it does give them minus 50% defense, but it gives them a 70% attack boost and guaranteed 24 key. So you do still want to make sure you're trying to grab as many rainbow orbs as you can so you can get those additionals, but you're going to get a guaranteed 24 key super, so you're obviously going to do a ton of damage, but you have got reduced defense. You've got to be very careful. You don't want to use this on a turn where there's like 3 or 4 attacks in every slot, because then even, you know, you can activate an item that turn for sure, but their defense is going to be drastically lowered, so you need to be very, very careful with them. But they have a pretty solid link set. They fit in nicely with almost all the units you can use on this team. So if you have them, they're definitely a good option for the lead. I don't actually necessarily think they are the best option for the leader, and that is the sort of thing that we're going to talk about in this guide as we go over the next couple of units. So we have the LR, Goku and Frieza. Obviously they have their Easy A on JP. They have a Reps of Universe 7 category lead, 3 key and 177, which is still the highest leader skill in the game, as well as Tech Types key 3 and 120. So they're super good. They raise defense on super attack. They have decent defense at the start of the turn. They also get more defense when they perform an Ultra Super, so they can be very, very tanky. If the enemy is an attack down or defense down, they get a bunch of extra attack as well. Or if they're stunned or they're sealed, so a lot of ways to get that extra bonus. And they get key +1 at the start of each turn up to +7. So not only are they a very, very strong unit, but even if you have the Goku and Vegeta, they have this Reps of Universe 7 lead. So we are going to talk about some of those other units in a minute anyway. But if we look here, we've obviously got these guys are Reps of Universe 7 lead. These guys are Reps of Universe 7. Reps of Universe 7. Reps of Universe 7. Reps of Universe 7. And then this guy will fall under their Tech lead and is a good support unit for them. So technically, you can run these guys as the leader for a team on this stage and still run a full all-out struggle team. And then you have the higher leader skill as well, so some of those powerful 6-year LRs are going to be very, very good under this leader skill. So of course, first up we have the God Vegeta. He has a Reps of Universe 7 leader skill as well, but obviously his is slightly lower. If you're missing any one of those units that I mentioned, it obviously becomes much harder to actually make the full team. He does have Power of Revival as a sub-lead. I'm not sure what the crossover is there for units that are on all-out struggle, but you might be able to use him as a leader if you don't have Goku and Frieza, but you might be missing one or so units that actually need to fill in the team. But obviously he's super good. He does crazy damage. He has a built-in 50% chance to crit. He has damage reduction. He gains additional damage reduction with each attack he receives within the same turn, so the more he gets hit, the less damage he takes. He builds up ki as he attacks as well. He has a medium chance to launch an additional. When HP is 50% or less when entering the turn, if he's been attacked 7 times. So in Super Battle Road, again, it's kind of easy to do that if there's like 5 enemies. A lot of the time they will attack like 5 or 6 times in total in slot 1. So you could potentially have this active skill ready to go if you have him on turn 1. On turn 5, maybe if you're super lucky on turn 3. And then, of course, that means he has the revival skill. So if him or any other enemy on that turn gets KO'd from like a super attack you weren't expecting or something like that, he revives, recovers 70% HP. Obviously has the final explosion active skill. So when HP is 50% or more starting from the 4th turn, I mean, that is super easy to get in Super Battle Road. Turn 4, easy. So HP 50% or more, easy, because with active skills, if you start the turn below 50% HP and then you just heal, then it gives you the ability to use it. And then you can use the final explosion, mega colossal damage to all enemies. I mean, potentially he could just be finishing off the fight in turn 4. But if not, obviously he has the costume chase thing as well. The revival skill makes him super useful. He's just insanely good. Like, if you have this guy, regardless of who you run as the leader, he absolutely should be on your team 100%. So then we have the Roshi from the anniversary as well. Very, very good. Again, another unit that fits under that leader skill if you want to run the Reps of Universe 7 team. His 12 key super has a very high chance to stun. I think it's like 70% chance to stun on super. He raises attack as well, so he does decent damage. And then his ultra super does crazy damage and seals. So depending on the rotation and how many enemies are left, sometimes it's worth going for the 12 key super to try and get the stun, because stuns are so effective in Super Battle Road. But yeah, he's got good defense. He has a built-in chance to dodge. He gives Turtle Skull allies a buff, although there's not that many on this particular like team setup. But he's very good. He also has a revival active skill when HP is 50% or less and there are 2 or more Turtle Skull allies on the team. Although, like I say, that's a lot harder to fill in that condition on this particular team. There are a bunch of other Gokus on this category, but I didn't really include the ones that I didn't think would be that good for Super Battle Road. But if you're forced to fill in the final slots on your team and you are using this Roshi, you could prioritize using some Turtle Skull units so that they get the support buff from him and they enable him to have access to his revival skill. He also has an active skill. You do have to be attacked 7 times, just like the Vegeta. So again, depending on where you put him in the rotation and how many attacks there are, will depend on how difficult it is to get this. But if you do get it, it does a massive amount of damage to a single target, and then it gives all allies ki +7. So considering how many LRs you can run on this team, you're pretty much going to get 18 key supers on that turn for everybody. So that's going to be very good as well. So then we have the Gohan and the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. I thought I'd include these guys for people who don't have all of the Reps of Universe 7 units, so you do have to just run the actual all-out struggle team, because obviously these guys aren't in that category. We've talked about them in previous guides already. Both of them are very good for Super Battle Road. The AGL one, whilst you'll never see him transform unless this category has android enemies, he's still very good defensively. And then of course the Tech one, with his ability to build in additional, and so with dupes he could super attack 3 times, he raises defense on each of his supers, and he's still a very strong unit if you can pick up a solid amount of orbs, even without having a Movie Heroes Goku on the team, because obviously that's how you activate his full passive and the ability to use his active skill. But even without access to that, he's still really, really good. I use him on my Super Saiyan 2 team pretty much all the time, even though there's no Movie Heroes Goku on that team, and he's still very, very good. So if you get one of the turns where he triple supers, his defense is going to be very high, and so he's going to be very, very effective. So then we have this Vegeta, again, another one who's not on the Reps of Universe 7. He needs a Majin Buu Saga Goku in order to be fully effective. He does get extra ki as long as there's any Goku on the rotation, so obviously that would include the leader of the Blue Goku and Vegeta, but you won't get the full passive or the ability to use his active skill unless there is a Buu Saga Goku on the team, which I don't think there are for this particular team build, or at least that would be good for Super Battle Road. but he's still a solid unit even if you don't get that full passive to activate. And he's another unit where he raises defense on his 12 key, so depending on where you're putting him on the rotation and how many attacks there are, you might want to go for his 12 key super just so he'll be a little bit more defensive. I feel like he's more of a unit that you fill in on the team when you need to fill that 6th slot and you're not sure who else to use, because whilst he is good in his best case scenario, and I do really like this unit, this particular team setup is definitely not his best case scenario, but he can still be very good. So then we have the LR Bardock. I feel like he's super underrated these days, but I mean on his 18 key super he does mega colossal damage and seals, which is very, very useful. He gets a bunch of extra defense when there's multiple enemies, so that's ideal for Super Battle Road. He's just not like super top tier. Even with that extra defense, he probably will take a fair bit of damage, but if you keep him protected with an item or just putting him in a slot where there's not many attacks, he can be very useful. He still deals pretty reasonable damage, and sealing is very effective in Super Battle Road as well. So I do think he is worth considering, but he's obviously not like a top pick. So then we have Tech Majin Vegeta. Now some people might be surprised at this pick, but for those of you who have seen my run, I did use him on the Extreme Tech ESBR no items run, because he can actually be very good for Super Battle Road. You kind of need to get a bit lucky with the RNG, because he AoE supers and has a chance to stun. So if you're facing multiple enemies, you can get very lucky and get multiple stuns with him. The lower your HP, he can get a massive attack buff, so he can actually hit some pretty reasonable attack stats. The only downside is his defense is where he is severely lacking, so you do need to make sure you're not putting him in front of too many attacks, or you are having defensive items active. But he can be very useful, especially if this stage ends up having multiple fights where there's like 4 or 5 enemies, because you only need that like clutch turn where he gets like 3 or 4 stuns, and then you're set up so well for like building a good foothold in that fight. So he definitely can be useful. I think he's lower on the list in terms of who I would automatically put into the team, and obviously you can't run him if you want to run the Reps of Universe 7 build, but he can be good as like an honourable mention type unit. So then we have this Goku. Again, he's another unit who's on Reps of Universe 7, who you could use as the lead if you're missing one of the other leaders. So he fits onto that team. Whilst he's not the best, he obviously has the Spirit Bomb, and you can do the like Spirit Bomb cheese thing, where as long as you have 3 or more Reps of Universe 7 allies on the team, his restriction is only HP is 59% or less. So if you're going into the 2nd or 3rd fight of the stage, and you have 59% or less HP, you can use the Spirit Bomb straight away. So you do a massive amount of damage to one enemy, and you raise all allies attack by 30% for one turn. So if you have like, if that's a turn where you have like Goku and Frieza, and then LR Goku and Vegeta, or just like the LR Blue Evolution Vegeta, they're going to dish out a ton of damage that turn with the active skill buff. The only thing you have to be careful about, of course, is he's not very good defensively. Without an item active, he's not going to tank very well. He does build up his defense with each attack received, but that doesn't really help you if the first like 1 or 2 attacks you're taking in the turn are doing ridiculous amounts of damage. So if he does have to take hits, you probably want to use an item. But if you're running the full Reps of Universe 7 build for this stage, he's obviously going to be useful, and the Spirit Bomb is a super effective strategy for Super Battle Road. So then we have this Tien. I mentioned him when we talked about the Reps of 7 build. You can obviously run him on that team if you're running the Goku and Frieza lead, because whilst he's not in Reps of Universe 7 because it's the Tien from the Cell Saga, he is a tech unit, so he falls under their sub-lead. He greatly lowers attack on Super, which is really good, and then he is the 50% Super Tech support. So really, you're only going to use him on that team if you're running the double LR Goku and Frieza leads, but then he's going to be really good for buffing them up, lowering the enemy's attack, so activating the extra parts of their passive, and he's an orb changer, so even if you don't want to pick up the orbs with him, because he does have a nuking style passive, so you do want to pick up a good share of orbs so that he has good defense, but you technically could give all of those tech orbs to the LR as well to make sure they're getting their 18 key super. So he's definitely effective if you're running the double Goku and Frieza leads build. So then we have Blue Evolution Vegeta. He's on here, of course, to fill in that Reps of Universe 7 team. He's not the best, because I mean I say Blue Evolution because obviously he just starts out with Super Saiyan Blue and then transforms. He can be pretty good. Obviously with each attack you launch, his defense goes up a little bit, but his defense only starts at 60%, so his defense is not particularly great. Even when it's fully maxed out, it's only 130. but not bad. And then of course from the 4th turn he can transform into Blue Evolution Vegeta when he will have pretty solid attack and defense, still gets the additionals, and then he builds up crit chance with each attack performed. So I do think if you're using him on the team to fill out the full reps of Universe 7 build, he's probably going to be an off-rotation floating unit because he's definitely one of the weaker units on the team, but you might have to bring him in order to actually make the full Rep 7 team for this stage. So he can still be useful, but he's definitely one of the lower tier characters on this stage because he's just not great for Super Battle Road. When he gets his Easy A, which we were kind of all expecting to happen once Goku's was announced during the anniversary, he'll definitely be very good. But until then, he's probably just kind of like the placeholder if you do want to run the full reps of 7 team. So then we have this Vegeta. I thought I'd include him as another non-reps of 7 option. He raises defense on super attack, which can stack multiple times, and he gets more defense with each attack he receives. So his defense can build up to being a pretty reasonable level, but it's never going to be crazy good. So he is probably, again, another one of these units that I would just fill in as like the final choice. If you've picked like your first 5 units, but you're not really sure who to bring as a 6th one, he can be a good option. So it's not a huge amount else really to say about him. He's not going to do crazy damage, but his defense is going to be reasonably good. And because he's a Vegeta, and obviously like a Super Saiyan character, he has good links like Super Saiyan, Saiyan Warrior Race, Prepared for Battle, etc. So he'll be pretty good with linking up with everybody else. So yeah, he's going to be fairly solid. So that is All Out Struggle. Definitely a bit difficult, but like I said, if you've got a bunch of the reps of Universe 7 units, I think that's going to be a very effective team because you can use these guys on it, but the Goku and Frieza have the higher leader skill. So with their Easy A making them so powerful, I actually think the reps of Universe 7 build is probably the most powerful team for beating this stage. So when you look down here, we've got a ton of units who just aren't super useful, like Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Goku just doesn't really have any defense. AGL Great 8 Bardock and like the old World Tournament Bardock, no. Gohan is a support unit who's not very strong. The Kaioken Goku after his Easy A, he's okay, but he's not really that good for Super Battle Road. But he is a Turtle School unit if you are running Roshi on the team. So yeah, like Future Gohan as well, he's okay. Not the best on Super Battle Road, and obviously there's no Trunks to get his transformation. But yeah, there's a few like sub options who just aren't going to be very strong, and you'd have to like fill your slots on the team with them and then just hope that you've got items active and hope they don't take too many attacks. But I definitely think the reps of Universe 7 build is the way to go if you can build that team. So let me know what you guys think down below. Like I said at the beginning, if you think there's a unit I missed or a team build or any units we should have talked about more, let me know down below in the comment section. And yeah, that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.